Welcome everyone to 2023 Matchbox batch review. This is the C case, the third mix, I guess you can call it. This is a relatively small mix. The mixes seem to be getting a little bit smaller as time goes on, but we're going to go through these in number order. We're going to kick it off with a brand spanking new casting, which is already very popular. This is the 1980 AMC Eagle. This is number 11 of 100. In a really nice copper with some wood grain on the side, looking fantastic. Just super cool, super cool. Kind of interesting. They do have a Chrysler logo up at the top. That's about as close as you're going to get to AMC themselves, which I think is perfectly fine. Just kind of interesting little tidbit. Of course, 70th anniversary logo right there up in the corner. That is going to be with us all year. Speaking of which, 70th anniversary logo cars. There is two of them in this mix. This is the first one, 1966 Dodge Charger. This is number 12 of 100. A little bit different card art, of course, donning the exact same silver and orange with some black striping on it. Deco style as all the rest of the 70th anniversary, which is perfectly fine. So you won't find this one in a separate deco. That is the deco for 2023. Same one here. This is number 23 of 100. This is the Ford Interceptor Police. This one looks pretty cool. Kind of like the 70th anniversary Police, if you want to call it that, which I think is kind of cool. It's kind of a cool twist to it. You know, other than that, nothing fancy with it. It's just pretty cool that this casting continues. It's one of the better police cars that they have in the mix. Not as good as the Charger, but it's still pretty good. All right, jumping up a bunch of numbers. This is number 53 of 100. This is the Push and Puller. This was a brand new casting last year. It is the two-faced car, I guess you can call it. It is a generic, but, you know, they do have cars like this in real life, although it's not based. It could be based on a real one, but it's not licensed. We'll put it that way. It's okay. It's okay. You know, we don't get too many unlicensed vehicles in the mix anymore, but that's one of them. And, of course, so is this one. This one is number 58 of 100. This is the Childmobile 2. When this casting first debuted, it was like 3 per case. In the case it was in, it was just an absolute peg warmer. This one isn't too bad. It says Uncle Abe's Barbecue, Island Barbecue on the side. Probably has something to do with Abe Lugo. Just saying. Just my 2 cents on that one. Another generic, but a pretty nice one. This is the Fire Dasher, MBX Fire Dasher. This is number 60 of 100. This is also, like I said, generic, but this is based on 50s eras fire trucks, and I think it looks pretty good. It's a pretty good casting, in my opinion. I think it's not bad for a generic, but kind of weird. We have 3 generics in this mix, but this one is far from it. Number 77 of 100. Yes, a little biased towards Porsche, but we'll give an honest review as we always do with our batch reviews. This is the Porsche 918 Spyder in yellow. This is the second deco for this model. Did debut last year in graphite gray with some gold D10 wheels on it. Pretty sure it was last year, earlier in the year. But this one looks fantastic. Does have the gold D10 spokes on there, and then of course just in yellow. So let's crack these guys open and get them on the rotator guy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kick this off right in the exact same order that we started in. So probably going to lose everybody on this video because we're starting with arguably the best model in the mix. This is the 1980 AMC Eagle. When I first saw some pictures of this, before we even saw a mock-up at the gathering last year, it looked small. It looked really small. And then, of course, when pictures started showing up of this one in the blister, I thought it still looked pretty small. But I can assure you, in hand, this casting is not small. It is normal sized. It looks good. It's appropriate. It's not squished. And I know that you guys who are collecting in the community know what I mean by saying it's smushed. This one looks fantastic. I honestly, I do like the fact that they're using that newer off-road wheel on it, which is pretty nice. We don't see that wheel all too often that much, and which is kind of a shame. I think it could fit on an awful lot of models, but I think it looks really good on this particular model. I think this model could have sat just a teeny bit higher, potentially, but that's just more of an opinion based. But I think it looks really cool. I do like the kind of the color break and stuff it has in it to give a little depth to the front end. The only bad thing is that, of course, that front end is going to be colored to the interior. In this particular instance, it's kind of a grayish brown kind of color, which is kind of rough. But the wood paneling on the side looks fantastic. It looks very, very good. It does say Eagle there on the side, which is very, very nice. Some side marker details. And of course, it is four-wheel drive, which is what it's known for. Particularly like what they did with the back of the casting. You'll see that the ugly second post that they have to put in there, they actually did a very good job of getting that right to the end, which has a lot to do with just the way that the model is designed, or the real car is, that has that huge, huge slope in the back. So it is literally a four-wheel drive wagon, which is pretty cool. There is that brake in the front end I was talking about. So, you know, it's cool and all, but kind of limits on what you can do for the casting itself. But it looks very, very good. There is the top view of it. It is a very, very good casting. I think this is definitely one of the biggest hits they've done in a while. This is the base dates. 1366 is the man number. So brand new casting number there. So that one looks pretty good. It says made in Thailand. Still has room for the elephant up there at the front. R45 is the day code for this particular batch. All right, moving on to a 70th anniversary model. 1966 Dodge Charger, which I think is awesome. Awesome. This was a brand new casting beginning of last year, I believe. Debuted in orange. So this is the first time we're seeing it in a new deco. And of course, it's not just a standard deco, not your run-of-the-mill deco, but a 70th anniversary deco. I do like their designs for the 70th. They look pretty good. Not sold on the chrome orange foil print on the wheels, but I still think the whole overall deco looks pretty good. It does say Dodge on the rear quarter panel. Looks pretty good. It does have deco in the back for the taillights as well. Looks pretty good. That one just wants to take off from the rotator guy. There is the deets on the side of it. Looks pretty good. 70th anniversary logo, Dodge in the back, and that's old school Dodge. It does say Charger right up there on the essentially the B or C pillar, which looks pretty good. There is the deets in the back. Looks pretty good. It does say Charger with your light bar done up, which is pretty nice. So, and then of course, this model doesn't have you know, opportunity for front prints on it, which I think is perfectly fine. So that one is pretty fancy. And then of course, we've already seen this casting. So there is the deets rolling on from that guy. Kind of interesting to do back-to-back 70th, but that's just kind of the way they work in the number order. The Ford Taurus, essentially. This is the police interceptor. Ooh, okay, check that out. That was not expected. I didn't even really look at that in the blister. Full wraparound rear deco. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Okay, I'm digging it. Sorry, that's pretty cool. I actually like that a lot. It kind of gives this model a premium flair. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Now, obviously, we didn't get that in the front end, but we can't get it all the way around. I think it's awesome that we got it in the back, though. That's pretty cool. Again, this is kind of like the police version of the 70th anniversary, which is cool. I think that's a very, very unique touch. You know, their model selection this year is kind of this and there. They did release a press release not too long ago that kind of showed pretty much every model that's going to have 70th anniversary deco on it, which includes a lot of moving parts, which is pretty cool. There is the deets on the side, just say Interceptor on the front fender, which looks pretty good. Police, and then of course 70th emergency on the back. Looks very, very nice. This is especially nice. It's not them trying to get a taillight print on the side pass. It's actual rear prints on there. That looks fantastic. I really like that. It looks pretty good. Definitely gives it a premium flair to it, at least in my opinion. But they did try to get a little bit of headlight detail on the side pass right there, which does not look good. Not a fan of that at all. There is the base deets for this one. Ford Police Interceptor. Casting's been out for a bazillions of years. Been modified as well, but that's perfectly fine. All right, next one up is a generic. Guess we won't spend too much time on the generics, but we are going to showcase them anyways because it's part of batch review. Push and puller. This is definitely one of those things where Matchbox just kind of has fun. They kind of do their own thing. They put their own little twist in things like that. Matchbox is always done that. They've done their own kind of flavor, and that's probably why there's not as many Matchbox collectors as Hot Wheels collectors, because Hot Wheels collectors target directly, or I'm sorry, Hot Wheels targets directly collectors. Matchbox just does what they think is cool and what they think is awesome, and that's why we like Matchbox that much. Again, this was a new casting last year. This is the second deco for it. Other than that, nothing fancy with it. Can't really show you the back because there is no back to it. There is the side deco, same on the other side. It is the same exact thing in the front, and same exact thing in the front, and in the front, and in the front. All right, so there is the deets on the bottom, and of course, yes, all the deets this way, and then if you flip it over, you get all the deets again. So it doesn't matter which way you're holding it. It is all going the direct way that you want to read. A little bit of a Easter egg for that casting, which was kind of cool. It was cool last year. It's kind of lost its flavor. All right, next up, this is the Chowmobile 2. Like I mentioned before, the very, very first deco they did on this model, it was dismal. Actually, the deco was okay. It's just the casting's not that great. It doesn't reach a lot of people. I think the casting's fantastic. This one is a lot better than the off-road one that they did a few years, like maybe 10 years ago. This is based on that exact casting, but it's basically that casting mixed with their delivery truck, which came out in the FedEx livery this year, kind of mending the two. And this is kind of essentially what would happen if you had that delivery truck based as a food truck, which is kind of cool. Casting is plastic, and then just yellow. Base is metal. It does have a lot of good print on there for all the food and stuff like that on the side. So specials today. Not sure if we can get that in there. It is very, very tiny. So you might be able to read some of that stuff. Uncle Abe's Island Barbecue looks pretty good. It's not too shabby. It's not too shabby. The only Abe that I can think of is Abe Lugo. So that would be my guess on this one. It says we cater, which is pretty cool. Got pork burger, lao, hokey poke, barbecue ribs, Simon, and mushabi. I don't know. I do not know island food, I'll be honest with you. I am landlocked. All right, taking away to the base here. Again, that is metal. It's the only metal on the entire casting. But, of course, not a new casting. But it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good. All right, moving on to another generic. It's weird. It's just kind of weird that we have 3 generics in this batch, because there's only a handful of generics still in circulation. This is the Fire Dasher. I think this is one of the better generic fire trucks they've done in a long time. It's a little different flair because in the past, the fire trucks have always had to like resemble something, or they'd have to be, you know, really modified to be kind of kid-like. Sorry about that. Just really, really kid-like to, you know, bring that flavor to the toy brand, you know, an off-road type thing, or it's just weird stuff. But this one is literally made to be realistic, but not ultra realistic. And I think that's a perfect combination. This one's pretty nice. This one in kind of a yellow color looks pretty good. Does have some pretty involved decos on the side. We'll take a look at that in just a second. A little bit of print on the front for the headlights as well, which is kind of a interesting flavor. And then, of course, there's a lot of casting detail in there, which is all part of the interior, which is all that stuff in the back there. You see the hoses and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Take a look at our deco on the side. San Luis. I can't even pronounce that word. But this is a licensed deco, so that's pretty cool. Old school deco. It says Bill 2 on the side, engine number 2. That's very, very nice. There is some deets on this side too. A little bit different on this side, but not much, just because the pumper detail is a little bit different. A little bit of print on the headlights. That's it. Nothing fancy. Integrated light with the window piece, which is pretty cool. There is your base deets. So a lot of space on here for more prints on there, but they don't need more prints because it looks pretty good as it is. And then we're going to move on to the very last one in the mix, because yes, these mixes are not very big these days, and I think that the mixes are going to get even smaller. Get our rotator guy fixed a little bit. Do apologize for that. This is the Porsche 918 Spyder. Fantastic casting, really good casting. It looked pretty good last year, but I think this one's even better. This one, with, you know, I'm not a huge fan of chrome, but for this particular version, the chrome really pops. It looks really, really good. And I think that of all of the models here in this mix, that one probably looks the closest to the card art, which is even cooler. So that's something that we don't really get that much, because the card art's, you know, kind of realistic looking, and of course you get the model and it's just not exactly that great. But I really, really, really like this one a lot. That one looks pretty good. No prints on the side, but it looks fantastic. The silhouette looks fantastic. Those D10s look pretty good. I think it's a very, very nice fit. So do get full front prints. Do have headlights printed up there with your Porsche logo, which is pretty small. Looks pretty fancy. And then, of course, take a look at the rear of the model. Looks like mine, unfortunately, has a little bit of chip on the spoiler there, so it looks like I'll have to find a new one, but it does say Porsche 918 Spider. And then, of course, the lower section here, that is printed, but the top part is part of the interior. But that looks pretty good. The casting detail is pretty nice on this one. A little bit bummed out that I got one that was chipped, but unfortunately, that's kind of what happens. It is an assembly line, and sometimes you just don't get the luck of the draw. MB 1300 on the dot, so that one is pretty cool. So we're going to see what the top ones of the mix are. Of course, we got to leave the Porsche on there because that is a new casting. Obviously, the AMC Eagle is a money winner, and I will shock everybody if you are avid watchers of the channel. I'm going to throw the Police Interceptor on there because I really like that rear prints. Gives it a nice premium flavor, which I think is fantastic, and really shows that, you know, the Matchbox team's trying to go a little bit farther for their 70th anniversary, which is something really, really cool. And obviously, literally, it only happens once. So, and most companies don't even make it that far. So, let's hope that Level M diecast will be here in 70 years, but who knows? Anyways, there is batch review. That is mix number 3. That is the C case. That is out now. Go grab it, and let me know your thoughts about those, especially that AMC Eagle. Fantastic. Good job, Matchbox team. Appreciate it. Appreciate every one of you. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll catch you later. Leveling back here. Peace.